I started a new stream. Arrgh. What am I doing wrong? I started a new stream. I'll try it. Thank you so much. You guys are unbelievable. You really are. All right. The house. When you said go back on and show us your house, I really could hear your damn house. But anyway, that's what I was hearing. You didn't say it, I said it. All right. Let me go get the monstrosity. All righty. Now that the webcam decided it's going to play nice. But I think you really saw most of it anyway. So anyway, there's the roof, the shingles. Let's see. The front, the TP, right? The wonderful TP. There is going to be, the guy made little furniture. And actually, I made a long time ago little teensy bitsy Adirondacks chairs, which are in the other room. But anyway, I left this wall off so I can add furniture inside that room. So that will happen. I already have a painting on the wall in the back. And these curtains actually have a little curtain rod here. They actually have a little curtain rod. Well, you can't. There, right here. Again, that very fine material, that rare stuff called toilet paper. So that's the house. And it's pretty cool. These were the dormers were really hard to make. The little tiny dormers, they were, a lot of measuring and a lot of cutting. The roof, the shingles are made out of, obviously, cardboard. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just put this the wrong side up. This all gets painted, and the sides, the whole front of all of this gets stuccoed with textured paste. And I have some textured paste that I just bought that's really soupy. So I'll have to dump, I don't know, cornstarch or baby powder in it to thicken it up. But that gets all spackled on, and you kind of rough it all up to make it look like stucco. So I think that's what I'm going to do also. And up here, this is going to be really cool. He makes a wrought iron fence that goes over this, I guess, Juliet balcony type of thing, where he winds up some wire, and then and there'll be a railing that goes up these stairs. So I'm going to be playing with this for a while. And so that's the darn house. But some of them, oh my God. I'm back. Some of them are just gorgeous. Oh, I actually tried to do this to the house that I owned in Bemis Point, New York. And I was really I was building it up from the studs. I was actually making 2x4 studs out of cardboard. And then I was going to build it with the actual studs and then do the siding. And then I moved. And I didn't bring it with me. So anyway, I thought I would show you some of my iCAD cards now that I'm kind of here. And I think the last time I left off, I was showing you it's a dream catcher, right? Isn't that what it's called? I remember before Kathy Berg. Is it the dream catcher? What happened? Did you make a bad comment? Well, how bad could it be? You're talking to me. I used to work in a restaurant behind the line. That language is unbelievable. Can I tell you a quick story about working in a restaurant? I was working in a restaurant, and then I went Oh, I can't spell either. I can't tell you how many times I had to not put something in because my brain, um, what'd she say? No, I didn't. She's giving you a hard time. Really? Would Susan do that? Give anybody a hard time? I find that so hard to believe. That's just shocking to me. Now, of course, I'm being sarcastic, right? Ha ha ha. Yes. Um, I was working in a restaurant and I got a job at a much more classy place. It was at a place called Chautauqua Institution, which is very classy, and at the this big hotel. And I interviewed for the job, and the guy asked me how did I feel about kitchen language, and I knew exactly what he meant because there's an enormous amount of cursing carrying on. It's pretty bad. And I said, "Oh, I don't have a problem with it." So I went home and I told my mother about it. And my poor mother, thought the kitchen language was like saute and broil. And I said, "No, Mom, it usually involves the F word a lot and other things." So I had no problem with that. I mean, because it just gets really nasty. But I ended up doing the breakfast shift, which was really shitty. Anyway, I didn't last very long. So back to our wonderful. I think I remember telling you the my bookcase thing and Hadi Popo. Didn't you ask me why my books were backwards? I do recall you asked me why I had done that, and I said it was a long story, and it still is a long story. Um, David Bowie, just because he's weird. And I thought that was a very odd prompt. Tiramisu, I highlighted the me because I guess tiramisu means a pick me up. And that's because of the espresso in it. That's good stuff. And the brocade, I just copped out. I just had to have a piece of something that looked like brocade, so I just copped out. So that was a major cop out. This one I really like. For the rhombus and kite, I made a kite. A little tiny kite. And this is an Edward Carey sticker. So I made a kite. And for the chamomile, I just quoted from Peter Rabbit, where she gave him some chamomile because he had broken into the farmer's thingy. And so I just copped out there too. So this is dandelion, but these little pieces here are from the melted crayon, a la Mary. You know, she melts crayons now, and if you haven't done that, you got to do that. Just you will burn yourself. And I think I showed you robot. I'm pretty sure you saw the robot. And then I don't even remember what this was for. I think it was for, I have no idea. But Wolf. It was for Wolf. And so I drew it as, was he big, bad, or misunderstood? Oh, that was the six, yeah, right, it's a story in 6 words. So that was my story. Was he big, bad, or misunderstood? And you had to have only 6 words. This is really ugly, but the prompt was mustard green. Hi, Teresa, Tiffany. Is that Tiffany? No, Tea Friday. Tea Friday. Okay. Pause. Not very. birdhouse. I kind of like those little birdies. I learned those from another woman online. I can't remember her name now. This is a geode, and it's all flashy because they did it with gel pens. Anchor. Anchors away. Oh, you want me to write them down? I mean, I should. When I post them on IG, I do. I've posted all of these on IG, and I do have the prompt on IG. Terrain. Can't even say it now. But you know, a rock garden. And I looked up the definition, and it says it's like an aquarium, but without fish. Duh. My IG is just Anne C. Lahr. ANNECLAHR. All lowercase. Yes, that word. Hi. Hey, Johnny, right? Junk Journal Shop is Johnny? Yes. Thank you, Johnny, for your tutorial. It worked. So thank you so much. Emerald, really bad. But it's like, hey, at least I'm trying, right? And today's prompt was cappuccino. You know, Johnny, I asked you, because when we order from, you're Joggles, right? Right? You're the Joggles person, right? Or is Joggles somebody else? It's like Johnny Joggles, right? No? And Joggles is in West Warwick, correct? Johnny, are you Joggles? No, you're not. You're not Joggles because you are the Junk Journal Shop. Who's Joggles? I'm totally confused. Anybody? Hey, Popo. No, you're not. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that explains it because Joggles is in West Warwick. Colleen. No, isn't it Colleen's nickname is Joggles, right? I'm totally confused. Okay. But does Joggles come on these streams at all, or is that somebody else? Does the person that owns Joggles ever come to these streams? I know Colleen. All right. I'm confused now, but what else is new? I'm always confused. So there's nothing else that I can say about that. Okay. No. Okay. All righty. But we order stuff from Joggles because I've ordered stuff from Joggles because you guys have sent me that way. And the orders are always sent really quickly, and we usually get this beautiful, luscious tissue paper with hummingbirds. And right, this is the right place, right? Thank you. I think. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. All right. Well, I have nothing else. I was gonna just glue some stuff, but and that's all I was going to do until I could get this thing figured out. I was just going to glue some stuff. If you want to watch me glue stuff, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm trying to finish the industrial journal. Who's Susan? Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay. Are you serious? Who's Susan? I haven't done today's prompt. That's the cappuccino. All right. All right. I will. I'll tell you why the books are. Just give me 1 second. talk amongst yourselves, as they used to say on Saturday Night Live. You can look at that, if you can see that, and that's what inspired me to put my books backwards. Come on, Lily, you gotta move, honey. I know, it's still thundering out. I see weird books and I buy them, and I could, want me to zoom in? Yes, I can. Look at that. I did that manually. Because I don't think this is a very cheap camera. It's just you literally plug it in and there's no software. So, but this book is, this woman literally went around to libraries and people gave her permission, and she rearranged the titles of books to make a statement. And they're really funny. And they've got, I mean, they're just kinds of love, ecstasy, sensation, distemper. And that's what she did. And she just, I want to get the glare off it. That's bad glare. But she just rearranged the titles, right? And to make a statement. So I tried that with my very, yeah, camera tricks. And so here's like, this one is kind of, let me see if I can get the, oh my God, the glare is awful. Well, next thing on the agenda, you should see my lighting system. It's pretty basic. Oh, that's even worse. I'm sorry, guys. But it says, I don't know, the poet exposed for the world to see, full moon. You know, so I did that to answer. That's what I did with my very, 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 very limited library. I had lots of books. And when I moved, I got rid of all of them. And so I have very few books. And now I'm starting to point light at camera. Point light at camera? Really? Like the light at the camera? No. Oh, that's not so, that's, wow. Thank you. That would seem counterintuitive. That's a big word, counterintuitive. But that worked. So I started to do that. So those books are backwards for a reason. And I had taken some pictures. And now, let's see if they're still, can I find them? You think I could find them to show them to you? Hell no. Yeah, it's really hard to see. But these were all economic titles. And then there were some others that, yeah, there's, you can't really see them in this, but that explained to you, that's why they were backwards, because I went in there and started rearranging all the titles of my books and trying to take pictures of them so the few that I had would make a statement. And so I had a whole series of world history books, and world whatever. And then in the middle of it, I just put The World of Pooh from Winnie the Pooh. And I thought that was pretty funny because I had all these serious books. And I have a whole bunch of dummy books. I don't know whether you folks are, I'm sure you're familiar with dummy books or The Idiot's Guide. They are the best in the world. I highly recommend them if you really want to learn about something and get the world of Winnie the Pooh, not Pooh Pooh, but Winnie the Pooh, or the world of Popo. Now, I bet you that's an interesting world. What am I hiding under my arm? My industrial journal that I'm about ready to just, you know, have you ever gotten to a point when you've worked on something for so long that you just have had it and you just want to be done with it? But you don't want to leave it undone, but you just have lost the burning desire to finish it. Um, so I'm at that point with this. And so much so that I've already ordered Rosemary's next kit. I know she talked about it last night, and I haven't watched that yet, but I've already ordered the Renaissance, one of my favorite periods of history. So I'm very much looking forward to it. And I thought that those pages that didn't print out well because some problem with her printer and she had to go buy a new printer, I thought those pages looked pretty cool. I wouldn't mind having those. If you saw, you saw those pages that she wasn't happy with because of printer malfunction. I thought those were pretty interesting. Yeah, the Renaissance one should be really. Yeah, I thought they looked great too. I bet you. I wonder whether she'll share those with some of the chosen few. I don't know. No harm in asking, right? But that looks really cool. The dying one was a little over the top for me. I just I couldn't get into that one. But I love the funky fish, and I love the funky fish one. And I like this one too, but I didn't have the kit for this one, even though I have enough stuff to do it. Um, it's at a point where I just want to finish it. So that's what I was going to do if I was able to figure out all of this. I have a whole basket full of bits and pieces, as Carla would call them, fish bits. I miss Carla, Cage Fish. I mean, she's still around, but you know what I mean, when she was on a regular basis. And I learned so much about collage from her. She was just such an incredible teacher. And we used to have, she used to have her little fish bits, little bits and pieces. How long? I was a teacher for 34 years. But I started out as a teacher's aide for special ed, and we were in a 112-1. And when I became divorced, I went back to school. I think I told this story. I think I may have told you guys this story, or somewhere I mentioned this. So I'm 45 years old. I'm divorced. Hi, Mary Beth. And I found myself that I couldn't support myself on aid salary. So I already had a bachelor's degree. So I went back and got my master's degree. In New York, you have to have a master's degree to be certified. So I enrolled in St. Bonaventure University in upstate New York. And I was scared to death, 45 years old. And the first morning when I left for school, I went in the summertime at night while I was working full time. My son, who was living with me, the other son had gone off to college. And so Richard was living, and he had written on a little piece of paper, and he left it on the back porch. And he said, you can do this, Mom, or you can conquer St. Bonaventure. And I still have the note. And it took me forever. Do you remember the printer in the teacher's room? Yes, I do. The mimeograph. That's how old I am. I'm 71. I remember that. The cranking and making, and then cutting those stencils. You had to type them with the double blue. Yes. Yes. Johnny, a question. Where in what, Johnny? Oh, yeah, yeah, you're in Florida. I'm in Melbourne, as the kids call it. Melbourne. It's on the East Coast, about 25 miles south of Cape Canaveral. On like on the I'm not on the water, but I would on the East Coast of Florida. This was a mimeograph machine. Yes, you remember? Oh, man, were they messy? Um, but they had a kind of very distinct odor, as I recall. Um, and they were kind of they could kind of run a little bit. They could smear a little bit. And then we had the overhead projector, and yeah, I've been teaching a long time. Everybody's in, yeah, it seems that way. It's a lot of people are in Florida. Eileen's in Florida, but she's down in the rich area of Florida, down in Boca Raton. That's where there's some serious money, down in Boca. That's what I've been told. Um, my brother's in Delray Beach, which is a little bit north of Boca. Uh, I never thought I would end up in Florida. I don't particularly care for Florida, um, but it beats shoveling snow. I lived in upstate New York, southwestern New York. We had snow from Halloween to Mother's Day. I'm serious. And I was, shoveling snow up over my head. Greetings from PA. Where in PA? I lived in PA too. I lived outside of Gettysburg, the most beautiful place I think I've ever lived. That was just a beautiful, I lived on a farm. So when I saw Laura's pictures of the farm, I got really homesick. All the farms had names. It was the Cadle Farm. And we had a big barn and outside Philly. Okay. All right. I don't know the Philly area at all. So, but we lived in Biglerville, which was outside of Gettysburg, and then we moved to Camp Hill, where Book of the Month Club is. I don't even know if Book of the Month Club is still around. 100. Oh, 100. Where are you in Florida? We just had this ripping thunderstorm come through here, and it's like 81. Farmlands, yes. On the side of the ski mountain. She lives where you live. Okay. So, Johnny, where are you? Did you tell me in Florida where you were? I'm in Orange City. Now, is that like in the interior? Like, I don't even know where Florida's a big place. Is that West Coast, middle of the state? Um, I've been through Ocala, and that's gorgeous. If you ever drove through Ocala and you didn't know where you were, and someone said, "Guess where you are?" you would never say Florida. You would think you were in Kentucky, because it has the rolling hills and it's a farm place. It's horses. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. East Coast, 20 minutes. Oh, okay. Daytona. I have some friends that live up in New Smyrna. That's very cool. Probably wouldn't be too hard for us Florida folks to kind of get together. I'm hoping that Brooke, is Brooke in here? Brooke gets her retreat in Maine thing together. I would be up for that. Um, Orange City when you were a baby. But Brooke's got a place in Maine, right, where she'd maybe have she might have some retreats up there. My sister and brother-in-law used to live in Maine, and I've got a lot of family up in the New England area. My oldest son is in New England. He's hunkered down in Cape Cod, which is not a bad place to be hunkered down, but they have a place in the Boston area, and they also have a house in Cape Cod. The Cape Cod is in lieu of having children. They chose not to have children, so they bought a house in Cape Cod. I'm kind of bitter, but my youngest son did his duty and gave me 2 grandsons, so I'm good. Retreats, yes, Maine. How awesome would that be in August? That would be just, And maybe we could get Stephen King to come by because he lives up in Maine and he could really scare the hell out of us, right? We could have our own version of The Shining, but it could be the painting or something like that. Anyway, so this is the journal. I think some of you have seen it. This cover is with DUCT tape, the stuff they use to do air conditioning. I think I may have added some other little embellishments. But at this point, I'm just gluing stuff in. I'm going to turn it around. That way it'll be right side view, I hope. This is one of my favorite cutouts, and I have a toilet. It looks like he's pulling the toilet. The loo. This is some Timmy tissue. I added these, I think. I made a bunch of, I have gear stamps that I made, and I made a series of stamps that look like pipes. This is free images online. Receipt. This is some other stuff that I've added. Again, I'm just starting to glue stuff in because I'm done. I am just over it. And I think I showed you my magic pockets. That's from the Bohemian Crafter. If you haven't found her yet, she's amazing. Here's another magic pocket. All righty. So I was just, a lot of this stuff I got from Brooke, I think. Is Brooke the one with the railroad ephemera? You guys get this stuff as packing. I love it. I got an it-load of it, and I don't know what to do with it, but it's great. It's great package stuff. And here's some more of those guys. I've got a great collage book. Hi, Laura. Yeah. Well, it was not easy. It took a village to get me live today. It really did. But we have a very good village. Johnny and Susan were the village. And a quick tutorial, a video that got me where I needed to be. I couldn't get my camera to get off me, and it wouldn't cooperate, but now it's on my hands. Here's a nice bicycle built for two. I subscribe to Graphic Fairies. I bit the bullet, and I have a paid subscription to it. They have a lot of free stuff. Every Friday they have free stuff. But man, oh my God, it's not cheap. But the goodies in there are out of this world. Anyway, some more of that. Let's see. I was just going to glue, Laura, because I want to get done with this journal, and I just want to just slap stuff in because I'm over it. I'm ready to move on to the Renaissance. We're moving backwards. We're going from the industrial era to the Renaissance, and I'm ready. I read a biography of Da Vinci last summer, and we all know what a genius that guy was, but he was just beyond. Well, that's why they call him Renaissance man. You know, they can do everything. Well, this is kind of, well, it sounds good, right? That's my dyed stuff. I dyed that. It's me. And there's some Timmy. Gotta have some Timmy. Yeah, I dyed all those papers, and I used a combination of espresso and Noodler's fountain pen ink, and I made a muddy mess, but it came out good. All right. So here's where I'm just starting to glue stuff down. That's from that industrial scrapbook thing. I did the Midori thing, so I can slide pages out. Hi, Lori. Yay, I know, I'm trying. This is just plumbing stuff that I took out of Architecture Digest, AD, Harper's Magazine. Let's see, I think that's about it. And then I was just going to glue stuff in until whenever. Graphics Ferry. Let's see. More railroad. Can you guys see this? Yeah, I guess you can, right?
Yeah.
Nova Scotia. You have to ask them to stamp your passport. They don't stamp your passport. They're kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say lazy, but we were going through. I flew into Halifax and they didn't stamp my passport. I got a brand new passport. You know, you want to collect the stamp. So they didn't stamp. I didn't say anything. They didn't stamp my passport when I got into Halifax. My older son and his wife, they invited me to go to Nova Scotia with them last summer. Oh, it's hard to believe it was about a year ago this time. And we drove up the whole Cape of Breton, and we went to the port of Sydney, and there was like a I don't know, convention center, and there was two ladies sitting there, and they were passport stampers, and we went up and just randomly said, "Hey, would you stamp our passports for us?" And they said, "Sure, we'll stamp your passports." So they stamped our passport. And the reason why there's this fiddle, because in the port of Sydney, they're known for their there's a name for it. It's like Canadian style Cajun music, and they have this gigantic fiddler. I mean, it's huge. And so we asked them, and they stamped our passport. So, and then when I came back to the United States, I asked them to stamp my passport, and the guy said, "Oh, sure." And he got up and he stamped my passport. But otherwise, they don't do that anymore. What's the purpose of having a passport if you can't get it filled with stamps, right? I know, aren't those papers sound yummy? And I showed you all the pictures of my relatives, but I now have them all glued in. So I'll just go that real quickly, all right? They're all glued in. These are all my peeps, so to speak. And I would like to put these in a file, a digital file, whatever, and then send it out. And if anybody wants them, you know, I'll give them a link, and if you want, and then you too can have my family. I don't know, but I think they're just as attractive as Timmy's people, and they're almost as old, right? Again, grandma and grandpa dressed up. God only knows where they were going. I would have loved to known that story. But I kind of embellished these and stamped around them. And again, that's my grandfather. That's his father. And he's got a little pin on. His brother was the editor of Yachting Magazine in New York. And again, there's my mom. And there's my mom. I thought she was pretty glamorous. I think I told you that story, that she was always threatening me, that she was hoping that I would have little girls that wanted to wear makeup and wear dresses. And I was terrified of that. Fortunately, I had two sons. There she is again. 1941. And there's her my grandmother, my great grandmother, and Abelard and Margaret. I think I told you the story. Abelard was supposedly half Brule Indian. And she had a slew of kids. And I'm pretty sure I told you that Tommy was Mongoloid, and everyone kind of pressured her into putting him into an institution. And she would go visit him every day, and he would just scream and cry. And, you know, she said, "I can't do this," and brought him home. I don't know how long he lived. And there's my grandfather right here, looking like a very scary, you wouldn't want to run into these guys, but they have stripes on. So I don't know whether they were rowing or, I don't know. I've got pictures of him. Abelard. Yeah, it's French Canadian. And his last name was Brule. And so And there is a Brule Indian tribe. He doesn't look very Indian, but the rumor has it that he was he was half Indian. And that's why, her parents disowned her from marrying him because they were doctors and lawyers and highfalutin. And she married this Canuck, which is a derogatory term, which means half Indian and half Canadian, from my understanding, from what I remember. Yeah, for taking in I can't imagine. They're bad now, but can you imagine what they must have been when she took Tommy out? Um, yeah, maybe in prison. I don't know. I'm thinking that was taken on. My guess is the Bronx. He was, New York City boy, and that was probably up on in the Bronx. The Bronx, if you're ever in New York City, you want to go to the cloisters. If we ever can travel again, if you ever have, in New York City and have several hours to kill, we call the Canucks too, but they are just Canucks, no Native American. Okay, I thought I thought a Canuck was a mixture of Indian and Canadian, but I could be totally wrong. Yeah, the Bronx. Yeah, the Bronx Cheer. I'm sure you all know the Bronx Cheer, right? I can't do it. Yeah, something like that. Well, if you ever go to Boston for a Sox game, there's only 2 T-shirts that people wear. Either it says Red Sox or Yankees suck, and that's it. I have been there only once. Okay, yeah, they have an unbelievable zoo there. I mean, the Bronx Zoo is world renowned, and of course, Yankee Stadium's there. But there's also something called the Cloisters, and the Cloisters was built during the Great Depression. It was a way to give artisans work, stonemasons, and they went over to Europe and they bought up, bits and pieces of crumbled down monasteries and castles, and they brought all of that back and they built a cloisters at the very tip of Manhattan Island up in the Bronx. And it is like this little gem that just sits there, and it's just the most amazing place. I never would have known about it, but my ex-husband was born and raised on I told you my joke, on Staten Island, and he knew he knew a lot about, the city and stuff. So he took me to the cloisters, and it looks like a cloisters from the Middle Ages. And they have these massive tapestries of unicorns. And if I showed you a picture of that unicorn, you would recognize it immediately, but that's where it hangs. It hangs up in the cloisters. So that's why I think that's what the terrain, this kind of terrain looks like, the cloisters. Yeah, it's on the very tip of in the Bronx. Yeah, the Bronx. It's at the very end of Manhattan Island. Manhattan Island. I think I told you that my friend and I, we used to go into the city all the time. And I'm thinking what my parents were thinking. And we would get on the train every Saturday and go into the city and hang out and get standing room only tickets for $2 and see a Broadway play for $2. And then during intermission, you could take any empty seat there was. So we had stacks of playbills. Man, I wish I had those now. All those things that you had as kids that you threw out. I had comic books and baseball cards. Oh my gosh. Oh well. So that's that. So I was going to just glue shit up. Sorry, stuff. And look at chat. Wait, do skip school to go? Ah, yes. What were we? Yeah, I never skipped school. I never had enough guts to do that, but I never did that. We would hang out across the street from the high school where I went. I'm sorry. I thought I heard my cat meowing. Now, if I've told you this story, you've got to stop me, because I've got so many stories. But across the street from the high school I went to was a pet cemetery. Um, Huge pet cemetery. Yes, that's what I did. I used to put them on the spokes of my bicycle. Um, and I think now, oh my gosh, Brooklyn, okay, but not from the Canarsie area. I told you the story about the pet cemetery, where I mean, some very famous pets are buried there, like Roy Rogers' Trigger. Hi, Debbie. Uh, and people would have these beautiful tombstones with pictures of their pets. Uh, our beloved Spot, we love you. I had a boyfriend that one summer was digging the graves there. That was his summer job. And he was digging graves, and this elderly couple came up to him um, and asked him if he would dig up their dog. They both had the same dream, that the dog was cramped in its coffin. Oh, Bensonhurst. Okay, I'm familiar with Bensonhurst. And they said, yeah, they both had the same dream, that they were asking him to dig up their beloved dog and transfer it to a larger coffin. Now, my beloved brother-in-law, who passed away last Monday, actually made the coffins. That was a side job that he had. He made these beautiful coffins, small, medium, and large. And then there was a woman that worked with them who lined them in satin. Yeah, I know. It was very sad. The sad thing about it was that my sister wasn't able to be with him because of the COVID virus. That was just horrible. And he got sick really quickly, 3 weeks from beginning to end, which was a blessing. But she wasn't allowed to be with him because of the COVID virus. And he didn't have the COVID virus, but he was isolated, obviously. So they were able to, they transferred him to hospice. So she was with him when he passed away. So, yeah, they were together, you ready, 60 years. And, but he was a wonderful man and a good man. So he made these coffins. And so this dog was in one of John's coffins, and Don, my boyfriend, said no, he could not. He would not. Yeah, 60 years. He could not bring himself to dig up the coffin, the dog. Yeah, 60. They met when they were, well, Julie was 15. She was a sophomore in high school when they met. So they were, high school sweethearts. They have 3 children. And so it'll be hard, but time heals. Well, I don't know. For that's going to be a hard one. I didn't want to bring everybody down, but I had to mention him because we were talking about the pet cemetery and, him making these coffins. And, interesting enough, when they moved off Long Island, they ended up in New Hampshire because the company that he worked with moved their whole business from Long Island up to New Hampshire because the taxes in New Hampshire were a lot less than they were on Long Island. So he still had a thriving coffin business. And his mother was the director of a place called a Bite Away. And the Bite Away had the cemetery. Are you guys familiar with the Bite Away? I don't. A Bite Away is a place where they don't put down animals, where they don't euthanize animals. And next to the Bite Away was the Pound. Okay, so we had the Pound, the Bite Away, and then with the Bite Away had the pet cemetery. And then across the street, that's a good point, Debbie. Yeah, very good point. And across the street was the high school. So that's what was across the street from the high school, was the Bite Away and this pet cemetery. But even after he moved to even after they moved to New Hampshire, they will, he would get these orders. His mother ran the Bite Away. She was like the director of the Bite Away, and she would take the orders. And every couple of weeks, he would come down, drive down from New Hampshire with a truckload of coffins. And yeah, thank you for the thumbs up. That would be a beautiful thing. So yeah, I have a lot of John stories. He was a funny guy. He's the one that gave me my nickname that my grandkids call me when he found out that I was going to be a grandmother. He said, "Ha, Granny Annie." So that's what my grandsons call me, is Granny Annie. So it stuck, and I don't mind. I think that's a funny. Granny Annie's a good name, right? That was something I was actually going to send. This is for you, Laura. I was going to send that to you. Huh. Anyway, let's do some gluing while I try to, will you please? Oh, yes. So I am Granny Annie. They are 9 and 6. And their dad, Richard, is a special ed teacher in Utah. And he's been teaching special ed for quite a while. And let's see. I got all of these things that I cut out. I got all these little bits and pieces. Look at that. With the gears, cut that out. How laborious is that, right? I think I'm going to stick that right there. You all good? So he's been a special ed teacher for, I guess, 10 years now. He went to Johnson and Wales University College up in Providence, Rhode Island. And he got a degree in sports facilities management. And he interned with the Boston Red Sox. And when he graduated, he got a job with the Salt Lake City Stingers, which is the AAA baseball team for the Anaheim Angels. And he was the director of ticket operations. And he did that for quite a while. And when the Anaheim Angels went to the World Series, it was kind of neat. The organization that owned the Stingers flew all of the staff out to California, put them up, and so they got to go to the World Series. And so he got to go to the World Series. And now I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't know. There's nothing offensive about it. He was in Utah, right? And he converted to Mormonism, and we were a bit surprised because Richard's father is Jewish. Bruce is still alive, and Richard was bar mitzvahed, and so we were a little surprised when he called and said, "I'm gonna become a Mormon," and so I said, "Okay." I think that's great. Yes, that is a huge change. And he was, as a kid, after he was bar mitzvahed, he would be, a kid. He was not very tolerant. So he was very upset that they would be singing Christmas songs that were Christian. And I said to Richard, I said to him, half of the art and music are all related to Christianity and religion, and you can't be upset about that. And really, used to make booze in the bathtub? Wow. my mom as a child to make the deliveries. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Holy moly. Yes. Lori, yeah, yep, it's, it's different. It is. But it took a time. But Richard is a much more positive person. I can see, you know, I've accepted it. When I go to visit him, I don't drink. But I guess that's my biggest sacrifice. I mean, because I drink like every night. I have a martini or two. No, usually just one. It was hard. It was very hard. But as long as he was happy, uh, as a parent, you want your kids to be happy, right? And so, but and Kelly came from a Mormon family. You know, what I mean, do diehard Mormon, and but very lovely, very sweet. Now, hang on to your pearls. Isn't that the saying? Hang on to your pearls. They got divorced, and Kelly came out. She's gay, which is fine, and she is married. So my grandsons have two moms, and Richard handled that really well, and it's yeah. So when the kids, when I called them the kids, the younger teachers at school would talk about the TV show. What the heck is the name of it? Wherever there's always these drama. Those, but not those. Oh man, I can't think of it now. Um, so, but they were talking about. They were talking about this TV show and all of the dramas in it. And I said, you know what? I can top that in real life. So I started telling them about my ex-husband, who was raised Moravian, which is the Staten Island. That is the Staten Island religion. That's a Dutch Protestant religion. And I think I talked about my grandfather, uh, did the same thing. Yeah. Divorced, and she married her friend. Well, yeah, I don't even know where Shelley met Kelly. So it's Kelly and Shelley. And her parents obviously have not taken this well. And, yeah, they're not too happy about it. And I don't even, they went to the wedding, and I don't even know why they went to the wedding. I mean, just, I guess, to bring Kelly down. Now, they were really lousy parents. I mean, I know I have to agree with you, Laura. You said earlier today, parents do the best they can with what they have, but I don't give these people any slack. I mean, yeah, they did not. They were not. I mean, again, they had a slew of kids, and they didn't. I'm sorry. Anyway, she had a hard life. Kelly had a hard life, and she's a sweetheart. And I don't. I just want her to be happy, and I want her and Shelley to be happy. And I am worried about my grandsons. I don't know how easy it's going to be for them, growing up in Utah. Yeah, that's true. Right. And so far, I mean, Richard doesn't think that, anybody's making fun of them or not. I don't know. But, let's, even on a good day, they live in Utah, outside of Salt Lake City, Mary Beth. And so I don't think there's a large gay community. And here's something about, and I don't want to offend anybody that may be Mormon. I mean, I'm just, from my observation. Um, when it came time for Reed to be baptized, there was a question whether they would baptize him because his mother was gay. And I kind of lost it at that point, and I kind of got a little upset with Richard. I said, "How awful is that? How horrible is that? That this child would not be baptized because of his mother's gay." And he ended up being baptized. The rationale for that, standing on children whose one parent is gay, that they would not want the child baptized, was because it might cause further stress in the family. So Kelly, went and visited the bishop and said, and wrote a letter, saying that she was not opposed to this baptism, that she was all in favor of that. So there's, progressive. So fortunately, he was able to be baptized, but Richard was, he wrote letters to the bishop, pleading his case. He even had Reed say something. It's just, but that would have been. But he was baptized, which is a good thing. That was just very stressful, and their rationales was they didn't want to cause further strife in the family. But I just think that was very interesting. It's an interesting, I don't get a lot of that, but these are little die cutouts that I had. The Volkswagen doesn't really fit, but it is part of the industrial. That was probably Hitler's best gift to the world, was the VW, Volkswagen, car of the people. I taught world religions. I was very worldly. I taught world history and world religions, so I was very worldly. And we looked at a lot of what we would consider fringe religions, and and the kids, we came to the conclusions, the kids did. They came to a conclusion that anybody can start a religion. Anybody. All you have to do is find somebody to follow you. And I actually had a student that did a paper, did a presentation on what it takes, what you have to do, the steps you have to go through to form a religion. And it's not that hard. You can get a license, and you can, be approved by the state of Florida, and you can marry people and bury people, and you just have to, register. And then, you can be a nonprofit, which is something else altogether. The Mormons have broken down into so many different sects, it's hard to know. Yeah, the traditional, not the ones out living, with the sisters from, like, does anybody ever see the TV series Big Love? It was hysterical. What do I want to say? The more traditional group, not the people that are bigamists. No, not bigamists. Polygamists. No. What? Oh my God. You know what I mean. More than one wife. They like to be they much rather be referred to as the Latter-day Saints. The LDS, not LSD. Ha ha ha. LDS. Yeah, you can get polygamy. Thank you. I couldn't. Bigamist. Well, I don't know. He's a kid. Yeah. It'll be interesting. Yeah. No, yeah, that's LSD. That's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, right? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. But Latter-day Saints. Yeah, that's what they would rather be preferred Do you notice you know it's a Mormon church if it'll have a spire? Yeah, that's a very small group, Debbie. Very small group. They have a spire, but there's never a cross on top of the spire of a Mormon church, because they don't want to be reminded of the agony that Christ went through when he was crucified. So you can always find out. You can always, if you see a bunch of church spires and you see one without a cross, you can go, aha, that must be a Mormon church. But they don't call them churches, they call them wards. But Richard said that his church opened up this Sunday for the first time and they had services. So I wasn't that happy about that, but he said that they had social distancing and all that kind of stuff. So I think we're all still in for a ride here with this COVID. I got a little passport sticker thing that I didn't get from the passport guy, so I might as well stick this in here. Here's one from France. Little sticker. And, oh, yeah. You have to have this, right? This is the industrial. You got to have these pictures. This guy's drinking. There you go. He's actually on a lunch break. And this is my favorite, all-time favorite picture from these guys. I think they were building the Empire State Building. And they're out having a lunch break. And this guy actually you can't see. It's very famous. I'm sure you're familiar with this picture. This guy actually has a flask in his hand. And this was a publicity stunt. These are real photographs. That's right. Now New York is not letting people from Florida in because COVID has spiked so badly here. And so now it's kind of the tables have been switched. How are things in Jersey? Here's another. Can you imagine doing this? I can't imagine. But these have to go in here, right? You got to put these in here for sure. Let's see if I can place for this one. Yeah, how about right here? Yeah, I'll put it right here. It's the tables have turned now that, and where I live, they were very, they were asking for people, if you had anybody visiting from New York at the beginning of this, that they self-quarantine themselves for 2 weeks. And I live in a retired military community. I think I may have told you that. So only people that live in here are military. My father was military. I was not. So I was legacied in. And they have a, golf course, tennis courts, shuffleboard, swimming pool, fitness center, and a restaurant called the At Ease Club. And so they had to close down the restaurant, but they provided takeout, and it was really, really nice. And they, you order your food and you go up there and they bring it out to you. And, this wait staff would have, masks on and gloves, and you could even get wine and beer, which I thought was very nice. And they didn't really rip you off for the wine and beer. It was very reasonable. And so they had the takeout. And then their work staff, they cut back on the work staff, I guess, only the bare, necessities. But I had a clogged up kitchen sink. The one nice thing about living here, they fix everything and anything, and it's all included. So if my refrigerator craps out, I get a new refrigerator. at no cost to me. If I need a new roof, I get a new roof at no cost to me. If I need my refrigerator did crap out, and they tried to fix it and they couldn't, so I got a new refrigerator. I need a light bulb changed. But my sink clogged in the kitchen, and the guy came in and he worked for 2 days to get things unclogged, and he had a mask on the whole time, so I was very happy. Mandated as of tomorrow. And Debbie, did you say where you're from? I mean, where you are? Self-quarantine for 2 weeks. I think that's what they're asking for. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tried to make myself a mask. I don't have a sewing machine. And I bought one of those handheld sewing machines, which was a disaster. Oh my God. Anyway. And so I broke down and bought a couple of masks. I figured, we're in this for the long haul, so I might as well just buy some masks because it's not going away anytime soon. So I have some masks, which I can wash. This is a blueprint for an elevator, which I thought was apropos. So I'm just going to stick that. And I was just saying earlier that I was so over it. I just want to finish this. I want to stick all this stuff in and then move on to the Renaissance. So I'm going to finish this up, and I think I'm going to go have it's cocktail time. It's 5:30 here ish. And you ordered a gator today? A gator? I ordered a gator today, hoping not as hot. A gator mask? What do you mean gator? Like Gatorade? No. In Houston. Okay, 14. Okay. I'm just trying to read the rest of the track. So not see. Yeah, that was, I heard a lot of people got ripped off ordering masks. Mine came, I paid $20 for 3 of them, and they're washable. The one I made was kind of cool. I made it out of my old dress shirt from the school that I taught at. They had a dress shirts, and it was a button-down Oxford shirt, and I cut that up and I made it into the mask, and it had a spot where you could stick a filter in, and the best filter they said is those shopping bags that you can buy, the ones that are made out of plastic bags. They are water repellent. So this mask that I made had a little slot where you could stick in the filter. But let's see. Oh, I know which one you mean. Oh, I don't know. Are we supposed to pick a theme for the Renaissance? I didn't get that far. Oh, architect. Well, oh my gosh. Geez, that's a hard one. Art, architecture. Well, I'm not going to do the plant thing. Oh, man. Art or architecture? Geez. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know what you mean now. Yeah. Okay. Now I know what you mean. Debbie, I know what you mean. Yeah. And you can configure them into all sorts of things. Oh, okay. I saw the kit. I saw her go through the kit. Well, there's a lot in that kit. There's lots of stuff in that kit. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a hard one. I'm a real Michelangelo fan. I mean, I showed David's butt. I love that, but Michelangelo, and he is another interesting character. I could talk about him for a long time. But anyway, and Da Vinci. All right, listen, guys, thank you so much for being so patient with me. And yeah, I agree with you, Heidi Popo. When I saw her go through it, I mean, I I went to her shop and ordered it immediately. There was no hesitation at all when I saw um, what she had in there. It's crazy. A lot of work, a lot of work into it. Well, thank you, Laura, and thank you for the village that got me on today live. And I wrote down that option button, so I now how to make sure the camera's not just looking at me, and it's showing my stuff. All right. Well, love you all, and have a wonderful evening. And cheers to everybody, because that's what I'm going to go do right now. Have a wonderful evening, and see you on the interwebs. Bye.